Hey everyone, welcome to an episode of the Elixir Foundation series. So in this episode right here, I'm going to be continuing to monitor another event over here, which is the response received. So if I head over into the browser and I head over to here, you can see that we have a response received event that we're going to monitor, we're going to subscribe to over here. So let's do that. So equals page session dot subscribe con network dot response received self. So essentially now we're already monitoring the URL that are relevant. So if they don't contain a certain subtext, or they don't contain this origin URL over here, we're not going to track it. And for all the ones that are relevant, we're also going to monitor the relevant responses. So we want to make sure that the request, the amount of requests we made, we got responses for all of them to ensure that the actual page is completed. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to write a handle call, so def handle info, and then basically Chrome remote interface and network response received data. So essentially what we're going to track in the response received, we're not going to track anything other than the actual, we're not going to track anything other than the actual, the status. We don't care about anything else. We don't care about what data was returned. We really don't. We know the URL. We're already tracking the URL from the request side of things. Now we just need to track the response that's received, and that's the status. We also need to make sure that we filter the URL to show that we're just going to use the relevant ones. So theoretically speaking, the stuff on the left should be equal when we count items. So let's say we make 10 relevant calls, there should be 10 200 responses on the right-hand side. And if we have that check, we know that our page is successfully rendered and it's verified. So let's go ahead and implement this. So I'm going to do a URL. And basically, we can just do something like this. URL equals data, params, and then response. And we can also track the status. So status. All right, so now we're going to write another check. So if URL equals state.origin do, so here we need another agent. We don't want to use the same agent as before. No reply. State. So we don't really want, we don't really want to use the same agent because we use one agent to track the requests and one agent to track the responses. So what we need to do is we need to have another agent. So here I already have agent start link responses. So what I need to do is I'm going to do responses. All right, so that looks good. All the curly lines are gone. So now what we need to do is we need to agent.update state.requests fn state, and then here we're going to do state add, and then we're going to add the status end. So that's pretty much it, in terms of tracking the returned responses. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to write another code over here, another API over here. So def network responses PID. So here I will rename the function to responses requests. So I'm going to change this handle call to network requests. This is a little bit easier. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to output the responses as well. So I'm going to copy this code over here, paste that like that, and then here we're going to do responses. So essentially, theoretically speaking, we should be able to output the request, output the response, compare them. If they all match, then we're good, right? So now I'm going to do the same thing here for a network responses. And here I'm going to need to do responses. So now we should get an array full of numbers like 200 or 400 or whatever the case may be. So let's go ahead and run this. So I'm going to close the server, run this, and then I'm going to go ahead and make that engine. So OK, PID equals botiful.render.engine.start.link https artelectual.com. All right, so everything should be okay. So I'm going to go ahead and make that call. So botiful.render.engine.network requests PID. So now we have, okay, so you can see that it's actually adding, chances are we are not using the correct, over here, yeah. So we need to use responses, and we need to return so they should be separate. Yep. Okay, so I'm going to close the server, run that again. So as you can see here, the numbers are actually coming through. I just, forgot to change for the handle info for a response received. I just forgot to change the PID over here to be responses. So that's why it all got mixed up. So I'm going to copy this line of code over here to just so we can initialize the engine. And then now let's call botiful.render.engine.network requests PID. So now we have just the URLs, and then now I can do responses. Bam. So there we go. So now we have two lists that we can compare and make sure that it's not a 500. Like I think everything else is fine. Like if it's a 304, it's fine. 200 is fine. Everything else is fine. So as long as it's not a 500, everything should be okay. So we need to write a check for all that stuff. So that's going to be coming in the next episode. I hope you guys like what we're doing over here. This is a members exclusive episode. So also check out our forum. We just released this like a couple of days ago, so it's pretty empty. Help me fill it up. Ask me a lot of questions. I'm happy to help. And this solves a lot of problems because I get people who ask me questions in the private chat, but then when I answer them, then the next person who comes and asks the same thing, I have to reply the same answer. So this is kind of like a way to share knowledge within the community. And basically, if you ask a question and I answer it, and then someone else comes and sees it, oh, this question's already been answered. It's easier for the next person. So think of it as a way of paying it forward, right? And it's also a way to get the most out of your membership. I'm going to be here actually answering the questions myself. So if you have any questions, you need a response, I'm here to take a look at your questions, help you out on the forum. And you can also give us feedback and make a content request. So yeah, you can do all kinds of cool stuff with this. And I hope that you guys utilize it to the maximum, to its potential. So with that, I want to wrap up this episode. Thank you for becoming a member. And I will see you guys and girls in the next episode.